Okay. So today we will have the session on. Last week we had done with method and classes, right? Okay. So uh, as we discussed about method and classes, uh, so today we'll have a discussion on Java methods. Okay. So the method is nothing but it's just a block of code which only runs when it is called. So when you're writing in a main block, you will write a method there. So and you will call that method where the code will be written and you want to execute it. So here how the logic work is when you're running a program. Example, you're running a program where you're entering some details of a candidate. So you will have uh, name, date of birth, and everything, general details, and you will be having a experience block where it says if you are experienced or not. If you say yes, then other another block will be opened, and it says how many years and which company and all. So if you says no, that will not be opened. You have this idea, right? You remember something seeing like this? So when you're filling an application, if you say you're an ex-serviceman, please, if you say yes, then it will have some more details to be asked. If you say no, there will be no more questions on it. You remember having this, right? Okay. So in such type, what happen is when you say yes, a some method will be called, and in that method, extra questions, whatever related to that yes, will be present. So at that time, when this code is running, you type yes, and when the answer is yes, it says call this method. So it goes to another block where our method in that method we write all these questions again. So these questions will be asked and come back to the main block. So that is how this method block runs. So into this method, we can actually pass some parameters like say if I say yes, then it will go with a yes and it says what need to be asked. Yes, or else there can be no into parameters also like in or out parameters. So sometimes what we have is if we give a date of birth as an input, it will calculate and give us our age. So at that time, what happened? We gave the input as a date of birth, and while returning from the method, it gives us output as age. So this is how input and output methods can also be given into a method. And there are like certain actions that are done in this method which we call it as functions. In that method again we have some functions like to find a square root or to find a cube. These are all certain small functions we'll be writing in a method itself. Okay. So how do we create a method? A method should be declared within the class. So if there is no class and you're declaring some method, it won't work. So only the method which is declared in a class, it works with a parenthesis at the end. Let me share you the screen so that you can understand it. So if you say my method is some method and to the end I have to give an in and out parameters. So this is how a method is actually declared.
Thank you. Thank
Okay. And we can actually have our own methods, like whatever method you want to declare it to the name, and to the end you need to have the parenthesis. So the static, which we write in the method, I mean, which we write in the name of the methods, this static means that the method belongs to the main class and not an object of the main class. So if you are writing static to the method name, then it belongs to that main class, but not it is not an object. So the you find the difference between the object and the main method. So we write public static void main with as an object, and we write static void this thing as a method. Just a second, guys. Sorry. Yeah. So this is how a method is declared, and how we call it. How we call the method is when you're calling the method, you have to call it with the two parentheses and a semicolon. Suppose there is a method called my method, and you're starting your main block like public static void main, open the parenthesis strings and args. You have written your main block, and in that main block you're calling a method which is named as my method or abc. So how you write it? It's like, so in that public method you call the method as, here I have written my method, right? So in that method there is some code. So I'll call that my method as my method parenthesis. Okay. So if you just write this, it will call the method. And how you declare this method? You have public. First we have a class main, and then before writing my main block, I have declared my method class. So my method class will be started with static void my method, and there is some logic written in this my method. And this my method, my method is my method which is declared inside the class. So you cannot declare a method without a class. You have to declare it within the class itself, but need not be within the main. So this is my main block where I am calling this method now. So when you try to execute this program, it goes to the main block and then it enters into the main block. So if there are some certain conditions in front of this my method, those are all will be executed, and coming next comes with the my method, and then it goes back to the my method this block. It executes the code here and come back to here again. You're getting it right? So this is how my method, method block is called, and it getting executed. And the most important, and what do you say, the most advantage of this method is it can be called any number of times. So if I say I have this my method, I can call it again and again actually. So if I'm calling two times, which means the code is getting executed two times. So you'll get the output as two times. Okay. So this is all about the Java method, Java class methods. So we have two types of methods again, class methods, that are static or public or non-static. So we have two types, that is static and non-static. So it can be like a non-static comes under public, whereas static comes under static. So static is like a permanent, and whereas public is like non-static, it can be dynamic. So in when we are creating a method, what we do is, as I have written in here, it as static void method name. So that is a static method. But even I can write a public method, that is a non-static method, like in my class itself. This is my class box. Sorry, this will not be here, but you will be having it here. And in my main class itself, I will write a public, that is non-static method. So I will write public void non-stat method. This is my the other method which I'm calling. So in this I write again some output whichever you want. Okay. So I call this method here as a non-stat method. Okay. So here also we'll have a system out. Okay. So when I'm calling my method, I will get the print as hello. The second my method again will print hello. And the third non-stat method, when it is called as public with the name public, I get it as hi. So this is a static method. This is a static method where we declare the method as static. But this public void method which is declared as public, is known as non-static method. So here what the thing is, static method is declared directly, but non-static method cannot declare it as directly. That's the main difference between static and non-static. If I write this and call, it will not print. Actually, this will compile me an error if I write it directly. So instead of that, I have to create an object of the main, from where I will call this my method. I mean non-stat method. I have to create an object of this main. So we have learned, right, how to create an object. Hope you remember. So I write it as main, the class name, space, my object name, which is equal to new main. You remember, guys, last class we have done this. Guys, respond, please. Anyone? Monica, Tarun, Mohammed.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so this is how we create an object. Main is my class, and this is my name of the object. I can keep it anything, whatever I want. And this is how we create the object, new of main. So it's a new object. Now I'm calling the non-stat method, which is present. Okay. So how I call my object? Here I'll have to have my object name, which is alias name of main dot. dot and the one which I want to call. So here it is non-stat method, non-stat method. Okay. So this is how I call my non-stat method, which is also known as public method. Non-stat method is also known as public method. So and this is known as static method. Okay. We shall just compile this program and see how does it work, or do we have any errors in that. We'll just see that. Okay. Guys, you're able to understand the things, right? See, I'm if I'm going fast, let me know. We will sit and we'll do it again, because I'm not understanding whether you're able to understand, or if you have any issues or what. Okay. So first we'll run this. Let's see. Yeah. So there is no error. So first time when I called my method, it went and printed hello. And second time also I've called my method, so it went and printed hello. Third time when I called this thing, I printed hi. So as I told you, we'll just try to compile this without directly calling the non-stat method, which is called as public. Okay. So what is the error we get? So it says non-static method, that is non-stat method, cannot be referred from a static context. So which means static context can be directly called. This is the context of the static method. But this is a non-stat method, hence it cannot be called directly. Okay. So instead of that, we will create this object and then we will call it. Yeah. I'm giving you this codes. This code. Yeah. Okay. So this is about object and classes and method. Now we'll go for constructors. So what is a constructor? So a constructor in Java is a special method that is used to initialize the objects. It is used to initialize the objects. So if you're having a class, if you're having a main class, and you created some attribute in the main class itself. So we will have to construct a main class for that again. So we will have to construct this for that attribute whatever we create. So we will have to have a main class again for that constructor to call the to initiate the value. So, and how you do it in main, how you call this constructor in main, we will directly create an object, and then that object automatically have this attributed initialized in that object. So we can directly call that, creating an object dot pointing to that attribute. So if I give you some example on that, let me show you. So I will have a class. So I have a class main where I've started my logic, and then what I do is I will initialize an object int y. I have declared my attribute. So I will create a constructor for this attribute. Now, how I create a constructor is, so I will already have this public class. So for all the constructors, we need to use a public class itself. And the constructor name, whatever I'm creating, should match with the class name. Okay, so as in method, we have public void. This void returns a value as void, but here constructor will not have any such return types, but the constructor name should be matching with my class name. So there will be no return type for the constructor, but there will be a return type for the method. That is the difference between constructor and method. So, and one more thing, whenever you create an object for this main class, so similarly, okay, I will initialize some value here, y is equal to 10. Okay, I need not to declare it because I declared it publicly in the main class itself. So I have just initialized it with y, and then I have to have this called in my main class. So I will write public static void main and with string ops. Okay, so now I will create my object. So main class obj my object, which is equal to new of main. So when I have created the object directly, the constructor is already called here. This will call the constructor. I need not to write anything again like in my method calling this program. Here directly my constructor is already called without mentioning anything. So directly I can just print whatever the output is needed. We got the difference, right? So here I will obj dot y. So this will print my value directly. I need not to call my constructor again here, because when I created object of my main class, that automatically calls my output, gives my output. Okay. So this is the difference between my method and constructor. In method, I have to call it, or I have to initiate the method to work for the code, but constructor is automatically called whenever we create an object. Guys, these are the points you need to write it down, because when you're going to an interview, they will ask you this simple concepts itself. So they'll ask you what is the difference between method and what is the difference between constructor. And when they'll give you a small code, they'll just write it here again as obj dot x dot y is called like this. Then you have to know it. Okay, obj dot y cannot is an actually is an object, so cannot be called as a function or a method. So this gives you a compilation error. So this is how you have to understand. This shouldn't be there. Then there will be no error. You're getting my point, guys? So this is how interviewer will try to create a confusion in yourself. Okay, this is a simple constructor. But a constructor, as I said you, a method can also have in and out parameters. So in and out parameters will be written here itself. So if a constructor can take an in value like int something x, so it can also take this value, and here what we can do is we initiated y, and we will take y is equal to x. Sorry, x is equal to y. We will assign the values here. So now when I'm creating my object, this will not happen. This will not work because I have initiated a constructor with an input value. So in my object, I have to give some input value. Then only this works. So already it is having a int value. So I will just give some number as 10. Okay, we will give 5. Okay, so it goes with int x is equal to 5. So here if I print x, here I will get the value as I will get the value as 5. But when I print after this condition, yeah, after this condition, I will get the value as 10. So shall we check this once? Okay. Is there any other thing? No, right? I'll just try to run it. So if you just see, I have given the system output first one as X. So when it is going into this main, it will, so okay, we will do one thing. We will have another system output. So just to understand from where the flow is going. So first it goes to main, then it printed first step, and then it created an object which is having, object as well as a constructor which is having an input value. So it is taken as 5, and then it directly goes with the constructor itself. So when it went to the constructor, I printed the first 5. First it is printing 5 because it printed x. So then y is equal to 10. I have initiated y is equal to 10. Then x is equal to 5, which means 10 is equal to 10. So x is equal to 10. System out dot print ln is equal to 10. So next the second step I got it as 10. And then this block is khatam. This block is ended. So it comes out of this if loop. It comes to the next system out and prints object dot y. So I'll write what I will write is this is the last step. I'll just have a mention so you'll understand it more easily. Okay. So this is the last step. This 10 is this is the system output. Have you understood?
One second.
Sorry.
Explain one second. Slow.
Okay. So here, this is my main block. I mean, sorry, this is my class. And then this is my main block. So whenever a program is getting executed or compiled, it goes to the main block first, and then it will start with the program logic, whatever we give it in the main block. So coming to my main block, here I have first printed my uh, some system which says first step. So this has to print first. That is where my first step is printed. The next point where I am creating here what it is getting done is an object is often constructor is created. So this and also called. This is the place where the constructor is called as well as created. So I'm just calling my constructor here as this part, this syntax. And if there is no input, we need not to give here anything. But if there is an input, then you have to give some value to that. So I gave it as 5. So it went to my constructor, and the constructor name and my class name should be the same. So it went to the constructor and it has taken as int x. So it int x as 5. So my first system output will be x, which is equal to 5. So because it is assigned here itself, I'm giving 5 value here. So this index is taken as 5 and the system output is printed as 5. The next I have initialized y is equal to 10 because here it is the data type is given, but I have assigned the value here. This is called assigning, and this is called initializing. And this is again called as assigning. This is, you all know, that is known as printing. And this is my main class. Sorry, this is my main method. And this is my main class. Okay. This is my constructor. Okay, guys. Tarun, is that fine?
Just a minute.
Yeah. So I've given you that also. Just have this logic in your hand. So this is about the constructor. Any doubts in constructor and method? Did you get the difference between the constructors and method? And one more important thing is, in the constructor, when you're giving it as inputs, you can give n number of inputs there. N number of inputs like int x, string y, comma, I mean with the comma separation, you can give n number of inputs to the constructor. Any doubts? So during your constructors, like when you're trying to have this logic, sometimes when you start working on it, so if I say there is a constructor name itself, so in this constructor I use a keyword called this. So this keyword is something which is related to the constructor itself. So in this keyword I can actually call the value of whatever that is equal to my previous value. So I will okay, what I do is I will have only one object, I mean one data, I mean one variable which is working in the whole system. Okay, so now here coming to my assigning of my x value, I can't assign x is equal to x directly. So I can have a keyword called this dot x. So this dot relates to the constructor. I mean the keyword which is relating to the constructor itself. So this keyword is actually used to used to point my current object in a method or a constructor. So this is my current object. I mean x is my current object. I am pointing it to that value through using this. So if you just see this first this step is came up, and then I have gone to my constructor, and for the first time it printed 5, and then when I assigned my value 10, and then my pointed out to x, it gone to x value, I mean the 10 value. Again last step where I have called my object initiator, because the last output is x, I mean 10, so it gets printed as 10. So this is how this keyword is used. So generally what happens is you will have a form. I mean, when you are entering into our online application, you will have certain fields, right? Like name, date of birth, age, Aadhaar card number, and all. So back in what happens is, for every field, there will be a constructor which is pointing to the current thing. Why this happens is, see, sometimes if this is glitched, if there is some any glitch, network issue or something, whatever the pointer, if you don't use this dot, it it just go back to some other field, and it gets clumsy. So if you are just pointing out to the this dot, wherever you refresh or whatever you do, you will be there at the same block. If you say name, it will be there, the cursor will be there at name only. So this dot is used in such a way. So there, this dot name will be given, and whatever you value given the front end, it will be stored in a temporary variable, and it gets assigned to this main variable, this dot name. So I'm just giving you a live example. You're understanding it, right? Guys, you're getting it right? Okay.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, for this constructor, is there any particulation that it should only be public main, or we can write any other also?
Constructors need to be only public.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Just a second, guys. Just a second. Sorry, guys, there's a small emergency. Yeah. So, any doubts in this constructor part? So, guys, till now we have completed Java introduction, the operators, keywords, control statements, and the object and classes, methods, constructors. So, what I want to you people to do is we will have an assignment. This is a theory part, so this is not a coding part. I mean, you can, I give you all those related codes, so you can just go back and then practice on those codes. But for this assignment, what we have to do is write. I need notes on write the difference between static and non-static. Sorry for spelling mistakes, but try to rectify them when you're writing the assignments. Non-static methods. First question, and my second question would be write the difference between constructor and method. Whatever I mentioned you 2 3 points, I want them in this assignments, okay? And the next will be hope you all practiced on control statements, if else, which, for loop, and all. You practiced them, right? So I'm not touching them again. So yeah, these 2 questions are enough. Okay. So write this assignment, and maybe tomorrow is a holiday. So we will again meet on Wednesday. And the Wednesday and Thursday, I will explain you about Java polymorphism. Okay. So
Okay, ma'am.
On this Saturday, we will have an assessment. So I'll give you certain questions, like 5 questions. They can be theory or programs also. So you have to write them and submit. So in the 1 hour class, whatever we have, you will be writing them and submitting them in the online itself. Okay. So
Okay, ma'am.
yeah, so try to prepare the theory part as well as the examples which I gave you, as well as all those assignments which we have done in the class as well as at your home. Just be prepared by this Saturday. Till this methods and classes, we will have the first assessment on this Saturday. Okay?
Okay, done, ma'am.
Yeah. Um, can anybody help me giving this question in the group?
Yeah, okay, ma'am. Welcome.
Yeah, Mohammed. Yeah, please do that. Please ping this same question in the group, WhatsApp group. Okay. So that's it for today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for attending this session. So let me know if you have any doubts. We shall have another 2 minutes to clarify them.